Ready? Good afternoon. Welcome to the Community Safety Committee meeting of Tuesday, March 15th. First item is the minutes of February 15th are here for adoption. Are there any errors or omissions?
Move adoption.
Move. Is there a seconder? Second. Thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is carried. Are there any additions to the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move along. The next committee meeting is April the 12th, 4 p.m. in council chambers. Item number 1, property use and parking enforcement monthly activity report for January 2022. Mr. Corrado, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and to the chair, I'd like to take note of some errata on CS 15, word 4 adjacent to 4811. Number 8 road, the word 4 should have been removed. And just take note on page CS 19, on the second line from the bottom, it reads and nose, which should be and noise. I want to apologize and make note of the fact that this report didn't go through an additional grammar reading that it normally does.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions from committee? Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, through the chair to staff. Just two quick ones from this report. You had highlighted the soil, one of the edits at the soil bylaw officer description there, and it mentioned there were 34 properties in non-compliance, but not any further breakdown on it. Is there are all of those new in January? Is there a trend in them?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the trend is roughly within normal. There are over 2,000 properties within the ALR, and at this point there were just 34 that were in non-compliance. Most of those properties were historical, and relatively few were new.
Okay, great. Thanks for clarifying that. Through the chair, my second question is on same page 15. And it mentioned signs, the numbers down a little bit. Mayor and council got a letter, and I don't recall seeing the reply, about on Bayview in Steveston. There was signage up on the on the whole inner. I went to visit it the other day, so like all the windows had sticker signs, and then there was some hung like fluorescent style light signage as well. Have staff taken a look at that? Is that in compliance? And is the hours of the lights, the lit up sign, is that part in compliance as well?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, staff have discussed the situation with the business owner, and my understanding is that the issue's been resolved, but we can follow up for further investigation.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor McNulty?
Yeah, just quickly, on 15, there's 2 files with legal counsel. Have we been informed which ones they are, just in case sometimes people like to lobby councillors and bring their forward even though they're with legal counsel? We need to not comment and not discuss in any way. And I'm just wondering if we've been apprised of them and how so we can stay away from them.
Through the chair to Councillor McNulty, there has been some correspondence regarding these 2 files, and we can do so after this meeting as well.
Yeah, okay. I just, to protect us, each individual, but also more importantly to protect the city, we should stay away from. Thank you.
Councillor Hobbs?
Thank you, through the chair. Just on page 17, if you could just clarify a couple of the numbers in table 2. For instance, with the bylaw fines and fees, I mean, you've got the budget and the actual, and I realize there's an explanation down there about it being altered, but it is still dealing with the one particular month. So is there a delay expected to bring that a little bit closer? And same with a couple of the other numbers, like the newspaper box permits. I mean, there's a budget and then the actual is actually 0 according to that. So There must be some kind of explanation that makes sense. And of course, the total revenue for the month is quite different from the budgeted versus the actual. So what say you?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, that budgeting reflects a straight line budgeting and not a seasonal budgeting. So we anticipate that much of that revenue will increase as a result of soil related fees. And generally speaking, that's not reflected in the beginning of the year. However, the budget shows it to be that way.
Oh, okay. All right, thanks.
Councillor Au, you had your hand up.
Yeah, I had the same questions.
Okay, great. Are there any other questions from committee?
Move the recommendation.
I'm sorry, we're getting some feedback. Is there a seconder? Moved and seconded, thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It is carried, thank you. Item number 2, Community Bylaws Animal Services Monthly Activity Report, January 2022. Good afternoon, Ms. Lloyd. Anything to add?
Good afternoon. Nothing to add. Happy to answer any questions.
Great. We have a couple. Councillor Day.
Thank you very much for the report. I absolutely love the paragraph on CS23 that talks about the art students in the school district creating artwork for the new animal shelter. I think that is absolutely a brilliant idea. What a great way to involve them. And I love the theme, Forever Homes. Lovely play on that. I'm wondering, this is just such a great idea, is there a way to continue this after the opening, maybe as a potential fundraiser for the animal clinic?
Through the chair to Councillor Day, we can most certainly take that under consideration.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, through the chair to staff. My question was first brought up at the Parks and Rec committee meeting most recently, and then again at council. The discussion around rabbit breeders being on using Kijiji and other marketplace methods to sell. I thought I'd see if there were any further comments at this committee on the surveillance of that, how prolific it is. I know there's no section in the report on rabbits. There's dogs and cats, but yeah, thanks.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the SPC, as mentioned in council last evening, the SPCA and the City of Richmond Animal Shelter will be doing their part by offering for adoption and domesticated rabbits that have been surrendered for adoption. We will be vaccinating and spay and neutering those rabbits, and also offering classes for responsible pet ownership for a rabbit. In regards to monitoring Kijiji, we would not have any authority to stop that through the animal regulation bylaw.
If I may, through the chair, I guess two questions follow from that. Can we, as a city, respond to those ads and inform that this is not a practice that's recommended? Not that we can stop it, but can we use those ads as a way to get in to educate? And then my second question, it was I believe confirmed from Sorrel that if you were to catch a rabbit for adoption, then you need all the other permits and stuff. But if you're catching it to take it to a sanctuary, and I guess the animal shelter has no overlap as being a temporary sanctuary or any way that the city can not have to go through the full permit to store them, and maybe eventually finding a sanctuary that they go to, as opposed to only adopting out from the shelter?
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the first item that you mentioned would fall more likely on business license section of City Hall to perhaps reach out or monitor. In regards to your second question and the animals, the domesticated pet rabbits fall outside of the Wildlife Act, And in the schedule in the Wildlife Act, currently, you must possess a permit to move the rabbit, sell the rabbit, adopt the rabbit. We're speaking of feral rabbits here, and that can even be domesticated feral. So if a feral rabbit is currently picked up on public property, the Wildlife Act is not requiring you to have a permit to move it to a sanctuary, which is what I believe Rabbitats currently does. They house the rabbits that they trap or that are captured at a public location and taken to Rabbitats, where they cannot be adopted, because under the Wildlife Act, you cannot adopt a feral rabbit. So the rabbit must live its life out at the sanctuary. The City of Richmond shelter only takes in domesticated animals, and we do not house them for adoption or for their lifespan, which Rabbitats has to hold that rabbit for its lifespan under the Wildlife Act. Now, I believe Parks spoke to that yesterday evening in council and stated that the Wildlife Act is being reviewed in regards to permitting rabbits at sanctuaries to be adopted, but that is under review, and at this particular time, it is not available. The rabbit must live its life out at the actual sanctuary.
Yeah, I
I
believe
appreciate that. Thanks.
I believe the act has been under review for a very long time, and we have had correspondence. I know staff going back years have worked with the province, and I think in the Parks and Rec referral that was passed last night, they will be going and seeing if there's any update on that and bringing that to us if there is any update. Is that all for you, Councillor Wolf? Thank you. Any other questions?
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions from committee? The recommendation has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Opposed? It is carried. Thank you. Item number 3, Richmond Fire Rescue Monthly Activity Report, January 2022. And we have Chief Wilkinson with us today.
Yes, thank you. I have nothing to add to the report, but happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Councillor Day.
Welcome back. Good to see you, Tim.
Thank you.
Question on CS 26. The fire department distributed grade 2 classroom workbooks regarding safety and whatnot, and it was just distributed to a trial group. How did the trial group go, and will we be expanding that?
Well, the trial group went, thank you, through the chair to Councillor Day. The trial group went very well. It is our intention to try and expand this through our relationship with the school district. School district curriculum has a lot of regulation and oversight, and so working through that process, we hope to expand it, but I really couldn't say for sure it will happen, but it is certainly our hope.
Do you think this is something that the province might be interested in?
Certainly, we would hope so. It's a caricature book that young children would enjoy, and it's cartoonish, if you will. So it is age appropriate, and it's a fun opportunity that uses our Blaze mascot as the spokesperson, if you will.
Maybe we could ask Councillor Liu to bring this to the liaison with the school district.
Certainly.
Thank you.
Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you, and through the chair, good afternoon. Just on page 27, a couple quick questions. I think Councillor Day just brought up an incident that might be counted in the public service stat, because I was just curious, is that the type of thing that is education, things involving the mascot and public activity?
Not in this particular table, no. through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, that public service is where we're being called out to conduct a public service, like a lift assist for a person who's fallen and can't get it back to bed. Perhaps a hot water tank is blown up and it's caused a lot of damage. It's that kind of spread.
Oh, okay, so that's actually very operational too then. Thank you for that. And then on page 28, I just had a question about the estimated costs for losses. For instance, the residential single family at the top of it, the $127,000 column. When the losses are calculated, just very quickly, how is that done or who does it? Is that after a claim is submitted, so it's done by an insurance company and you get that information, or is there somebody in the fire department that's trained to do that? How do those calculations get made?
Thank you, through the chair to Councillor Hobbs. Those estimations are made within the department, and we use a standardized by square foot calculation, and so it is a generalized number rather than a very specific number.
Sure. Okay, that makes sense. And then my last question is just about the grow ops. There was a fire, and I've lost track of this issue a little bit, but do we know where the licensed grow ops are? I know there was an issue with actually producing a list in terms of privacy and different issues. So does the RCMP, or in your case, the fire department, actually know where the licensed grow ops are in Richmond?
Through the chair to Councillor Hobbs, yes, there has over the years been different issues around this. I couldn't speak to what the RCMP know. We get to know now when a new permit is taken out. Part of the regulation is that they send notification to the fire department. There's still difficulty finding out the entire list for the fire department. And so this is why you can see our operation, once discovered, becomes quite defensive, because we haven't been able to understand the safety risks of each particular address prior. And when we can, we will certainly be aggressive to put the fires out as quickly as possible.
Okay, thanks. Thank you.
Councillor Wolf.
Thank you, through the chair, Fire Chief. Just a quick question on our page 29. The last item on the large events was a vehicle fire on River Road, and in there it mentions that there was no fire hydrants nearby, and then it said several apparatus needed to be refilled to extinguish the fire. Could you just speak to a couple points there? I know you've mentioned in the past we have a really extensive network of fire hydrants, and then it was one of the first things I've noted where there wasn't fire hydrant nearby. And then what does it mean by several apparatus? So did the fire truck have to go all the way to a fire hall to fill up, or just the nearby fire hydrant? And then also related to that, when they redo the dike in this section, would there be likelihood to have more fire hydrants in that new infrastructure?
Thank you for the question. Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, the issue in this particular address is the fire was quite deep onto the person's property. And so the regular distancing of the fire hydrants is well within standard, and we have a great, like I said before, a great system. Where it sometimes falls or becomes a little difficult is when a property is several acres deep, for example, and then in this case, the vehicles are well at the back of their property. It takes a very long reach with hoses to get there. In this case, what this means when they say several apparatus need to be refilled is what they do is they drive back to the fire hydrant, refill the actual fire truck, and go back to the fire. And they create a shuttle, a organized shuttle for doing that. So there's always an overlap in the water getting onto the fire.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Any other questions from committee? The recommendation has been moved, and is there a seconder? Seconded, thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It is carried, thank you. Fire Chief briefing. Chief Wilkinson.
Thank you. I just had the one issue or item to update everyone on. Recently, we've been working extremely hard on our website to make it even more friendly for business than it has been in the past. And to that end, we're moving much of the operation around inspections being available to public and to businesses through our website, such that they can take their time in their office. They won't have to use the phone, and they can book inspections. For example, the very first opportunity for a large inspection opportunity is on April the 13th, where all the food trucks from throughout the Lower Mainland are going to have the opportunity to be inspected at the Richmond Ice Center throughout the whole day. And we're inviting all of the fire departments across the Lower Mainland to join us, and that way be that much more business friendly to the food trucks and operational, such that all the cities have the same standard for this inspection. And our fire prevention teams have been instrumental in putting that standardized inspection together. So that's going to be April 13th. We believe there will be somewhere in the neighborhood of 70 to 80 food trucks come through and get that service.
What a fantastic idea. Well, thanks for your leadership and bringing this to fruition. Any questions for the fire chief? Councillor Wolf.
Sorry, just about this item. Thank you for bringing it forward, this initiative. And my question is, what is actually being measured and tested? Maybe it's more detailed and you need to provide a memo. But what jumped to my memory was complaints around the smell and the odor and the natural gas, and the inefficient burners, and is that at all part of the testing to see kind of the emissions coming from these rigs? Thanks.
Through the chair to Councillor Wolf, yes, the inspection does have a great deal to do with the actual operation of the vehicle and the safe operation. For example, it's really unsafe to have inefficient burners in a vehicle for the fire concern, but mostly for the health and safety of people in and around there. So all of those items are inspected, and we've had issues in the past with a recognition of each other's city's standard. And so the food trucks are saying, well, it's unfair, I have to be inspected at every single different fire department, and you all have a different thing for us to accomplish. And we agree with them. And so across the Greater Vancouver fire chiefs, we've come together and created the standardized system, and each of the vehicles, if they pass, will get a standardized decal such that they have to produce at any event throughout the Greater Vancouver area.
Fantastic. All right, moving along. Item 5, RCMP Monthly Activity Report, January 2022. Good afternoon, Acting OIC, Superintendent Jotar. How are you today?
Good afternoon. I'm doing very well. Thank you. Yourself?
I'm well, thank you. Anything you'd like to add to your report?
Not at this time, no. I'm ready for questions.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Liu.
Thank you, through the chair. Thank you for this report. I see on CS33 that we had officers win the gold and the bronze for distracted driving. How many notices they issued? Congratulations. And then on CS39, the mental health calls seem to be down. And I'm wondering if there's any correlation to us having had more like shelters and homes open, because we have the cold weather shelters. Some of those were open all day, if I'm not mistaken, and back in January. So I'm wondering if having a safe place for people to be during the day created any correlation or if it's, or not.
Through the chair, Constable Liu, there is no data for me to say what actually is driving the numbers down, but it certainly could help that we have, you know, a shelter for people to go all day.
Thanks.
Councillor Day.
Thank you for the report. I was super pleased to see some of the numbers. Sexual assaults down 24%, mental health incidents down 24%. Shoplifting down 24%. Unfortunately, theft from auto was up 49%, but that's the way these numbers go, up and down. And as your report says, there is no trend. So happy to see that. My question was regarding CS45. You very briefly mentioned the auxiliary police. We've been waiting and waiting and waiting for Ottawa to give us a go-ahead so that we can get going on that program again. Any update on that?
I would hope to give you an update today. I do not have one. We are still waiting for more information on that to see how we're going to proceed.
Is it time to write another letter to the chair to Ottawa to see if we can't light a fire under them?
It could be. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. What do you think, Councillor McPhail?
I think, is it Cecilia would like to say something? Ms. Rcmp?
Thank you. Through the chair, the pressure that city staff and UBCM and the LGCMC have been continuous on this matter. It hasn't fallen off anybody's radar yet. We at the last CMC meeting, and I think I updated committee last time as well, that was something that we've raised with the federal and provincial counterparts.
Okay, and one last question. We had an unfortunate incident which is mentioned on CS38 with 4 deceased people. Do you have any updates that you can share with us, or still under investigation?
Yes, unfortunately, that was a very unfortunate situation. It is being the investigation. Is still ongoing and being handled with the integrated homicide section. So there's not much I can provide on that.
All right, thank you so much.
Councillor Hobbs.
Thank you, through the chair. Good afternoon. Yeah, on that very traumatic call that you just mentioned, obviously still under investigation, would have been really serious for the members that attended. So I just want to acknowledge that that happened, and I'm sure that the RCMP is doing an outstanding job dealing with the trauma that people would go through attending that call, as well as investigating it thoroughly. So just wanted to acknowledge that. With the award for the distracted driving, you know, people are to be commended for that, and it's important for us all to acknowledge it, because as we all know, between traffic collisions, serious injuries and death, it's actually a staggering number, and police and fire attend those, and they're also very traumatic. So the fact is, winning awards like that for enforcement is very important. It's good recognition, so congratulations to the members and all those who were nominated and participated as well, because it's a very serious matter. Just moving on to some of the crime now, or other crime. With auto theft, at the bottom of page 38, I was just looking at the map and wondering if that's where they're stolen, but as you know, when vehicles are stolen, they're often used in crime. So I wonder if you've had any analysis in terms of, and sometimes you can tell by where the cars are recovered. So for instance, a car stolen in Richmond might be recovered in the downtown east side in Vancouver, and somebody might have done crime in between. So are these vehicles, you think, do you have any information about them being used in any serious crimes? And the information about where they're recovered, have you correlated that yet with that? Are they being recovered in Surrey? Are they all being recovered in Richmond? And it's essentially a joyride of some kind?
So through the chair, Constable Hobbs, no, I do not have any correlation in regards to the current vehicle that we have on these files that is reported on my report. But you are right in some way that some of these vehicles sometimes are used from one vehicle for joyride or abandoned and taken to SkyTrain and going to other places. But specifically to the one on that report, I do not have. I didn't look further into it, but.
Yeah, sure. Well, thanks for that, and I'm sure that analysis is there, and you guys are doing that. Just on the sex assaults and And the shoplifting, last time there was no indication that shoplifting in Richmond had turned violent like it has in some other jurisdictions. So I hope that's still the case. I guess it is, since it would have been noted if it was different than that. And with the sex assaults, I just want to double check. I know there's no pattern and no trend, but I also wanted to just ask, these are at the lower end. Sex assaults, as you know, are divided into categories from less serious to more serious, although they're all serious, we know that. So are they all at the lower end of the spectrum for sex assaults? And there's nothing in there with stranger assaults that are of a concern? I know there's no pattern or trend, but those are kind of different issues.
Correct. Through the chair, Councillor Hubbs. Yes, there's no patterns in chairs. We are taking every single one seriously. I'm a little leery in saying no one is less actually serious than another, because depending what the circumstance are and who the victim is, it can be very traumatic and very bad. But if we're looking at violence, for instance, extreme violence involved in it, no, we are not seeing that here. There is no public risk for all the files that we have right now. So it's, yes, so this is what I can tell you. They're not violent in nature, and no one in the public is at risk. Sure,
and I'll just emphasize again, I agree with you. They are all serious, but we know that in the criminal code there's level 1, 2, 3, and I mean, the more violence that you have, it gets into a different category. So, and stranger ones are always a very big concern too. So, thank you for that.
Correct.
Councillor Wolf.
Thank you. Through the chair, I just have two questions here. One relates to where does gas theft fit in? Is it under the category and the map theft from auto?
No, it would be under miscellaneous. It would not be, yeah, it's not associated to a auto, a vehicle.
Then a follow-up on that one first. Has there, I don't see any recognition of it, and I know with the fuel prices the way they are, and some of the photos I've seen on the Richmond neighborhood Facebook groups that I'm on, people have noticed a lot, and have had fuel theft. So I'm not sure if there's any, maybe not in January, but maybe now that prices are even higher, that might be something to make note of. And I'm not sure what you could do or you're already doing to educate people to prevent that kind of theft. But anyhow, for consideration, unless you had a comment on it now.
No, I say thank you very much. No, I know I've read it in the news as well. There's some communities that are being affected by several gas and dash, but I have not yet seen that in any of the reports. And that could be possibly because we have the bylaws where people have to actually come and put the gasoline inside your vehicle versus yourself doing it. That makes sense?
Okay, yeah. The main theft I'm seeing is in people's driveway at night.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you meant at the pump. I apologize.
Oh, so if it was stolen then from their vehicle in their driveway, would that be considered theft from auto?
No, it would be still the same thing. Sorry.
Oh, okay. Thank you for clarifying that. Through the chair, my final question, related to that last one there. I've seen a circulation of people using their house security cameras capturing footage of people in the middle of the night walking on in their driveway and checking doors and stuff. Is it recommended that people publish that and put it on social media for all to see, or not? Is there any comment on that? Because I've seen it more and more recently.
No, this is definitely something that the police would not recommend people to do. I mean, there is nothing for me to say that someone cannot post any kind of information like that, especially if there's no one that you can identify. But I would strongly suggest that every time or every citizen that actually capture some kind of action on their property that is questionable, that could potentially lead to a criminal offense, to actually reach out to the Rcmp so we can actually thoroughly investigate it.
Terrific. And everyone I've come across that was something that the person who posted it said that they did as well.
Okay.
I just see that's kind of the first thing is put it out on Facebook. Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions from committee? Seeing none, there is a recommendation.
Recommendation.
Has been moved. Is there a seconder? Seconded, thank you. I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It is carried. Number 6, RCMP OIC briefing. Superintendent Drotar.
Good afternoon. Thank you very much. I just wanted to bring to, and I believe this is the place, I just wanted to bring your attention the Youth Academy. So during the recent family weekend, February 17th to 21st, 32 local high school students participated in the first ever RCMP, Richmond RCMP Youth Academy. This 5-day was an intensive program that featured presentation from Richmond RCMP community engagement team, traffic section, drug sections, our team, our IDENT section, our dive team, many other sections. The participant learned some of the basic powers of arrest, search and seizures, and they also experienced drill, physical training, and real-world police and public safety scenarios. This was a program that was, in essence, a huge, successful youth engagement initiative. This was catered to all youth from grade 10 to 12 in high school that decided to participate either as a career choice. They were either looking to become a police officer, wanting to be getting to know a police officer, or stepping out of their own self and trying to learn new skills. It was truly an experience of a lifetime for all these young people. It involved regular member, our municipal employees, as well as volunteers right across the detachment and beyond. This was a very positive feedback that everyone who participated, these were very positive feedback from all the participants, as well as the teachers and many of the parents that we receive numerous letters and emails saying that how great this actually was for their children. So I just wanted to bring this to your attention. It was a very successful. Everyone who participated loved it. And a big thank you to all the participants in School District 38. And we have put together a video, which I will share with one of the general manager once it's put together for you to all review or view at your own time.
I think it'd be good if it could come to a community safety committee so that we could view it. I think that'd be fantastic. And thanks for the update. Councillor Wolf.
Thank you. Just briefly through the chair to acting OIC. I was fortunate enough to have that lifetime experience back when I was in grade 12. And you mentioned that this is the first ever Richmond Youth Academy. So when I went, it was out in Chilliwack for twice as long, probably twice as many push-ups to do. But do you know, is this now going to be the trend that Richmond will annually host a similar event?
So this is the intention. So we actually have had many conversations, and from the result of this one, from either the participants, people who put them together, as well as the school district, we are looking to further discussion in order to have it on a yearly event. And I have to just add a tiny little thing as a parent myself. I just wanted to bring that these were days, 5 days, which ran from 7 o'clock in the morning to 10 p.m. And the youth were not allowed to have any devices, no IT.
Wow. That's dedication. Thank you.
And no one complained. No one complained. So it was great.
Councillor Au.
Yes, I just want to follow up with a question. Are parents involved?
So unfortunately, no, the parents are not involved. And because of COVID, they were not able to participate in the graduation. Normally, in all the one, as Councillor Wolf mentioned when he experienced it, it was live, so the parents would be there and watching some of the scenarios or some of the practice, but at this year we didn't.
Yes, and also I would suggest that maybe in the future you also plan something particularly for parents in general, because now in this case I think the kids, I mean not the kids, the young people, they choose to register and take part in the program, and probably their parents may be supportive or maybe not. However, I'm also thinking that in most cases, especially among the Chinese population, parents of the new immigrants, they don't understand enough about the work of the Rcmp. And there's also some kind of hesitation among many Chinese parents to let their kids to enter into police force. So I think, yes, good to educate the young people, but perhaps, we need to educate the parents, not only those who register for this program, but think of something that we can address the parents so that, they can be more open for their children's career choice.
Point well taken. No, yes. And I just wanted to add, this was a very well represented ethnically, and as well, we had all children from all kinds of backgrounds, some that comes from very difficult family backgrounds and stuff. So it was very well, but thank you.
All right. Any other questions for the OIC? All right, we'll move along to the manager's report. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I was having issues with my mute button, sorry. Just one thing, just happy news. We see, as you all know, we have a OIC that will be coming to us soon. We think he will be, the exact date we don't know, but he will certainly be here in time for the next Community Safety Committee to be introduced.
Okay.
Well, that's good news. Thank you. Anything else? Any other updates? No? All right, any questions for?
Move adjournment.
Councillor Hobbs, I thought you had a question.
And asked it earlier.
Oh, did he? All right.
Yeah, it was about this side.
Okay, great. Well, okay. Looking for adjournment. We are adjourned. Thanks very much.